Almost the overarching thing for me is I absolutely love telling a story. The concept of being independent to make the film that you want to make. I just absolutely love doing it.
If someone made a film about your life, what would it be called?
Oh, God. I would only ever give you a facile answer. I don't know.
The working title for this is The Observer.
Yeah, well, that comes close. Why am I doing it? I suppose I look at the 4 or 5 characters that I made the films about. Joe Lay and Larry Hand, the Mayor of Leichhardt, and Annie Boyd, the Professor of Music at Sydney University, and Karen Carey at MLC School. And at the end of it, I suppose I have 2 feelings. One is admiration for what they are, and the other is gratitude. Any filmmaker, whether it's a documentary filmmaker or a fiction filmmaker, has the responsibility to create a situation where people are rendered spellbound in darkness. You know, they laugh and they cry. I think that's really why I do it. I suppose you use the analogy of the sculptor with the block of marble. You know, we go out and we sort of get the block of marble in the field, and we bring this 200 hours of stuff back to the editing room, and then you shape it into the statue, so that at the end of it you could actually say, I carved out that 18 months to edit this film when the economics tell you it should be only 4, right? And I took 18 months because it took 18 months. It was hard, you know, but it's infinitely better at the end of that 18 months than it would have been at the end of the 4. And I'm able to say, I can't do any better than that.
How did you actually meet Robin in the first place?
I was working in a documentary unit at the ABC, and she got a job as a temporary researcher, and she had a desk in the hallway. I came in one day after a long lunch, and I sort of went past and saw this woman sitting there, and I said, oh, hello, who are you? And she says, I'm Robin, who are you? So we got to know each other, and she moved into my flat 2 weeks later. She was sort of cool, analytical. Insight came from careful evaluation. I tended to be more sort of spontaneous. We're complementary in that sense. But the key thing was we had enormous respect for each other. Someone said, you know, you've been together for 20-odd years, you made these 5 films. You know, you still live, you know, you've got 2 kids and all this sort of stuff, and you haven't killed each other. What's the secret? And she said, well, I think he's better than me, and he thinks I'm better than him. And that's true. That's how we both felt. For one sort of tiny mad moment, we actually thought we were going to win it until we actually got in there, and we were sitting in the middle of the theatre instead of at the side. You know, that's the deadly telltale sign, because it takes you too long to get to the edge. You know, in the Academy Awards, everyone turns up in these great long limos, white limos, and there's this traffic jam of limos, and all the non-fiction people turned up in a bus. It was a very good bus. It just had leather seats and a wine cabinet thing, but it was a bus. And I thought that just aptly summed up what Hollywood thought of, you know, documentary.
I remember, you know, reading or hearing that at one point maybe you were ready to give up on that process of making documentaries in the early 2000s. Is that true?
She got diagnosed with terminal cancer 2 days before the Sydney Film Festival. And we got a standing ovation for that film, and of course we were dying inside, you know.
No one else knew?
No. No. And
is losing the love of your life something you can ever get over, or how do you...
No. Not really. Because it wasn't just that, it was the workmate, you know. That's, no, it was, it's difficult. Yeah. There's a lot of photographs of her around the house, you know, which I don't know if that's a good thing, but they are there anyway. And I've got her ashes, you know, in a little sort of plastic thing in the front garden with a little tiny flat sort of a little stone that nobody can see. But, you know, I try not, you know, you can get sort of neurotic about this. I mean, you know, shit happens, and you get on with your life, you know. I didn't want to make films anymore because Robin had died. Then the ABC talked me into doing 3 films which revisited films I'd made 30 years earlier, and then I met Sophie, basically, and the planets started to line up again. And I'm glad they did.
What's happiness for you?
Having my kids like me. My family was always more important than anything. And making a good film, you know, like we went to the Mrs. Carey's concert opened the Adelaide Film Festival, and there were 2,500 people in the festival hall. The sound was wonderful, the vision was wonderful, and that's just an absolutely magic feeling. That's a happy, you know, I felt happy, you know, because I was sort of looking up there and thinking, God, that was hard. That really was hard, that film, you know. We went through some terrible moments of despair, you know, but now there it is, and there's 2,500 people watching it, and they appear to be spellbound in darkness. That's close to happiness.